Thank you for tuning in to the best parenting show on the internet, Post Daily Dose.
It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post.
I think so. Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Post Daily Dose with me, your trusted parenting advisor, faithful guide and servant on the healing journey. What's my name? Big Papa Brian+Post. Hope everyone's doing fantastic. Coming to you live today from Calgary, Canada. Still here visiting with my Canadian brethren and sisterin. Been spending the day today. This morning I had a small group that I set in on. Actually re-recorded that, streamed it live, so you guys can go back and watch it. It was a lot of really good content. And the rest of today, we've just been doing one-on-one kind of consultations and meeting parents where they're at and whatever they bring to the table is kind of what we're working with. So it's been a really good day. It's been a little bit taxing. We still have a few more families to see. So we'll be working into the evening. It's all very exciting stuff. Just some of the things that we have been kind of encountering today. Refresh my memory, Jody, on the individual ones. What was the first individual one we did?
So that was school. And teachers and police and...
Oh, yeah. So the one just this afternoon. So the one just this afternoon was parents, their 7-year-old got handcuffed at school today. Like, how do we even begin to wrap our brains around what becomes so bad in a classroom that you put handcuffs on a 7-year-old? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. And then it just kind of spirals from there. Hey, Caitlin. Hey, Kirsten. And hello, Opal Fayetta Post. And so that was just one scenario. Another scenario, we had, a grandma with a 16-year-old and his mom, and they're both having some health issues and kind of working through that. And we had several good. We had a pooping and a peeing one that we handled this morning. So that one was recorded, so you guys can check that out. So that's what I've been doing all day. And, I think I titled this evening's episode, I don't even remember what I entitled it, actually. I could be a little stressed. Who knows? Something to do with trauma. The ties that bind? I don't know. I don't. The significance is it's all trauma. It all comes back to stress. It all comes back to fear. Some of these patterns, they are generational. Some of them, many of, like I've shared, like last night when I did the presentation, the primary diagnosis here is fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. So much trauma that goes into a child being exposed to fetal alcohol. The mom is in such a different situation, and the environmental circumstances and family circumstances that lead up to that. So it's never just one thing. It's oftentimes layered into other things. So it you've got to look at it from a trauma perspective. And just the parents who came in here and their 7-year-old who had been handcuffed. The school has justified that in some way. They've justified it based on whatever behaviors that this 7-year-old did, and no one seems to really know what it was that he did, but for whatever reason he ended up in handcuffs. And then the special education teacher is telling the parents that she's an expert. Well, her expertise is leading a child to be in handcuffs. To me, that doesn't represent a great deal of expertise. To me, that represents a great deal of control and fear and the need to be really rigid in your thinking. And instead of looking at, and this is one of the things I talked about last night, instead of looking at everything from a behavior perspective, as long as you're focused on the behaviors, you are operating from a place of stress and fear. And the reason you're doing that, see, I don't want you to feel like I'm just telling you this because I'm making it up. The reason you focus on behaviors, the reason we obsess on behaviors as a society is because our amygdala sees a threat. Your fear receptor in your brain looks for a threat. When your fear receptor in your brain looks for the threat, that's all it's going to see. That's why we always focus on behaviors. because we're always focused on the threat. You have to move beyond the behaviors to focusing on the trauma. And more than that, focusing on the relationship. Because when you focus on the relationship instead of the behavior, then you have the best opportunity to address the trauma. You have the best opportunity to address the stress and address the fear. And so it's just a whole different paradigm of looking at things. And I'm happy and excited that you guys always show up on here with me every evening to talk about these sorts of things. And you're always working hard to be on the same page and be in the same paradigm and take that love-based parenting approach. But it is not common. This is not a common approach. The majority of people still focus on seeing children's behaviors and trying to address it from a cognitive perspective. And I've said over and over and over again, everything I talk about, everything you struggle with, everything you go through, these things are based in emotion. Emotion. They're not thinking issues. They're not thinking experiences. They are emotional experiences. You cannot work through an emotional experience by talking about it. You can't talk about an emotional experience because it's emotional. And so it's so important for us to get to that place to where we can become okay enough with emotions, okay enough with our sadness, okay enough with our fear, that we can really start to address things emotionally and get underneath the behavior. That's how you make behaviors go away. Another big thing that we've really touched on today is grief. Really encouraging parents to do their own grief work. Because I can just see so much emotion. I can see so much sadness come up. And just like one of the parents this morning was saying that she felt like she was going to have a hard time getting in touch with her emotions because she blocks her emotions. Well, as soon as she said that, she had splotching around her neck, and I felt tension in her throat, and I said, just put your hands right there on your throat. And she did, and as soon as she put her hands on her throat, tears came to her eyes, and it was a very short period of time before tears started to run down her face. And so it's just a whole nother opportunity for us to see that the limitations that we have around our own process and around our own work and the possibilities and the things needed to have breakthroughs with our children are oftentimes in our own mind, in our own fear. We have the ability to break through. We just have to be willing to do something different. We just have to be willing to approach it differently. And I always say, like Einstein said, if we keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, that's the definition of insanity. Well, we are insane. We are crazy when we're stressed out and scared, because thinking becomes confused and distorted and our short-term memory is suppressed, so we're not actually able to learn. So that's it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one short and get ready for my next few rounds, and might stream another one or two before the evening's over. Just depends on the content. But remember, in any given situation, we always have two choices. We can continue to react from our same imprints and blueprints of stress, fear, and overwhelm, and we can just be on autopilot and do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Or we can stop. We can take 3 to 10 deep breaths, slow down, and choose love. And I hope each and every one of you will choose love in any given opportunity that you possibly can. And it's okay when you choose fear and you go down that fear path. After it's done, just review it, figure out how you can do better, and do something different the next time. Big Papa loves you. Hope you have a fantastic evening, and I will most likely see you tomorrow evening. Good night, everyone.